The galaxy was old. Civilizations had risen and fallen long before the first flicker of firelight danced in a human cave. The Galactic Concord, a coalition of the eldest species, spanned thousands of star systems. They had cataloged countless worlds, studied empires, and crushed rebellions before Earth had even learned to forge iron. To them, the blue planet orbiting Sol was nothing more than a backwater, primitive and unworthy of notice. Until the signals came. At first, it was just noise, erratic bursts of radio chatter leaking into space. A mixture of music, speeches, and strange human storytelling beamed into the void. But then, something changed. The signals became encrypted, layered in patterns that should not have been possible for a species at that stage of development. The Concord's analysts frowned. This was more than mere communication. It was the first whisper of something hidden, something dangerous. And so, the decision was made. Scouts would be sent. The first vessel slipped into Sol under full stealth. Its hull bending light, its systems masking heat. It lingered in Earth's orbit, invisible to the naked eye. From above, the alien crew observed humans moving through their chaotic cities, fighting wars, sending rockets skyward. Everything seemed primitive, but there was a feeling. The scouts transmitted their first reports back to the Concorde. Then silence. No distress call. No fading signal. Just absence. The High Council frowned, but did not panic. Ships malfunction. Crews make mistakes. A second scout was dispatched. This one came armed with better cloaking, equipped with tracking. Beacons. Redundancies upon redundancies. It crept closer, daring to skim Earth's upper atmosphere. It, too, sent back streams of data, images of strange metallic towers, vast glowing cities, weapons scattered in the hands of every human. It was chaos. Yet, there was a pattern beneath it, a dangerous unity waiting to be born. And then the transmissions stopped again. No explosion, no trace. Only the echo of silence. Whispers began among the council. The humans know. But that was impossible. No species in its infancy could pierce the veils of conquered stealth technology. The scouts were invisible, untraceable, and yet Earth had swallowed them whole. A third scout was sent, this one an elite vessel piloted by the most skilled operatives of the Concorde. They approached with greater caution, mapping every particle in Sol's space. The system was ordinary, the planets unremarkable, the asteroid belt scattered and dull. Only Earth glowed with unnatural energy. The scout crept into orbit, data streams flowing steadily, and then nothing. It vanished as if it had never been. 3 ships, 3 crews, gone without a trace. Now the Concorde was not merely curious. They were afraid. Meetings were held in the Grand Hall of Oracles. Theories flew like sparks. Some claimed a hidden weapon lay beneath Earth's oceans, something humanity should not possess. Others whispered of an ancient guardian species, forgotten by time, shielding the humans. A few dared to suggest the unthinkable. Perhaps it was not protection. Perhaps the humans themselves had done it. The council scoffed at the thought. Humans were primitives, wielders of crude rockets and chemical engines. Their weapons were projectiles, their fleets barely capable of leaving orbit. To imagine them capable of hunting down the galaxy's most advanced scouts was absurd. And yet, the silence of 3 vanished vessels weighed heavily. Far beyond the council's reach, Earth listened. For decades, humanity had known they were not alone. Strange anomalies appeared on their instruments, ghostly readings where no ships should be. Radio telescopes caught faint whispers of artificial transmissions. At first, scientists thought them natural errors, until patterns repeated. Until the errors orbited Earth in silence. Humanity realized the truth. They were being watched, but unlike other species cataloged by the Concorde, humans did not panic. They did not plead for mercy. They did not announce their awareness. Instead, they prepared. Quietly, efficiently, ruthlessly. The first alien ship that entered Earth's orbit found itself ensnared, not by brute force, but by precision. Hidden satellites, projects denied to the public, locked onto its heat fluctuations. Directed energy pulses lanced upward, invisible to the human eye, but merciless to alien systems. The ship died in silence, its crew unaware they'd been dissected before they could scream. The second ship fared no better. Cloaked or not, its gravitational signature betrayed it. Humanity had already learned how to track the faint ripples left by mass against local space-time. A trap was sprung, another scout erased. By the third attempt, humanity was no longer experimenting. They were hunting. The aliens thought themselves invisible, but Earth had become a predator's nest. Entire programs, funded under secret names, had developed warships unseen by the public. Massive vessels waited in hidden orbits, their hulls blacker than the void, their silence absolute. When the third scout entered the system, it was shadowed by hunters it never knew existed. A single pulse erased its systems, and Earth claimed yet another prize. The galaxy thought humanity was primitive. The truth was far darker. When the Council finally gathered to decide their next move, many argued to send a fleet. "Humans are dangerous," they said. "Crush them before they rise further." Others hesitated. If scouts cannot return, what chance does a fleet have? The Council could not decide. Their greatest flaw was arrogance, an assumption that time favored them. On Earth, the decision had already been made. World leaders, generals, and scientists sat in hidden chambers, staring at alien wreckage quietly dismantled in underground facilities. The knowledge harvested was centuries ahead of human science. Each piece of alien technology was a gift, a warning, and a weapon. Humanity did not broadcast its success. They did not tell the galaxy they were ready. They only smiled, waiting for the next scout to arrive. Because humanity had learned a truth older than the stars. Predators do not roar to announce themselves. They wait in silence. They strike unseen. And when they do, nothing survives to tell. The tale. The galaxy believed Earth was prey, but the Watchers had become the watched, and in the dark of soul space, humanity sharpened its teeth. The Galactic Dominion prided itself on one thing above all others: knowledge. It ruled not only with fleets of warships, but with secrets. To the Dominion, ignorance was death, and surveillance was survival. Every species was watched. Every world catalogued. Every threat neutralized before it could grow teeth. So when whispers of Earth began spreading through the undercurrents of Dominion intelligence networks, the overseers took notice. At first, Earth was dismissed as irrelevant, a backwater, sphere orbiting an unremarkable star. Primitive rockets sputtered from its surface, crude satellites hung in orbit, and the people below bickered endlessly in their nations and tribes. It was chaos, messy and loud, but harmless. Or so the Dominion believed. But then came the reports. Intercepted transmissions painted a stranger picture. Human networks filled with encrypted messages, black projects buried under secrecy, patterns of weapon development inconsistent with their supposed technological level. The overseers frowned. A species so young should not know encryption that resisted Dominion decryption algorithms. They should not have ships that reached their moon with alarming speed. They should not be testing engines that bent at the edge of relativity. It was a puzzle, and puzzles, in the Dominion's creed, were threats. So they sent a scout. The first reconnaissance craft arrived cloaked, drifting into Sol with silent engines. From above, its crew recorded Earth's chaos, wars, weapons, violence. Humans fought each other with an intensity that unnerved even the seasoned alien observers. To live on such a world was to fight for survival every day, but before the scout could transmit a full report, it vanished. No wreckage, no distress beacon, just silence. The overseers were irritated, not alarmed. Mistakes happen, even to the best. A second scout was sent, its cloaking field layered with redundancies, its path plotted with military precision. This time. They were cautious. They hovered farther from Earth, scanning from the edges of the system. For weeks, they transmitted steady streams of data. Then, without warning, nothing. 2 scouts gone. Now, whispers spread across Dominion intelligence. Circles. Something is wrong. The humans know. The system eats ships. The overseers silenced the rumors and ordered a third mission. This scout was different. It carried an elite team, agents trained in infiltration, sabotage, and survival. They entered Sol space with absolute confidence. The Dominion had never failed to watch a species before. Never. But they, too, vanished. 3 scouts. 3 disappearances. It was no longer irritation. It was fear. The overseers met in shadowed chambers, their scaled faces twisted with unease. If scouts are vanishing, then Earth has defenses we do not understand. Impossible. Another snapped. They are primitives. Their ships run on combustion fuel. Their stations are made of scrap. They have no fleets, no empire, no interstellar reach. And yet, 3 scouts were gone. Some demanded a fleet be sent immediately to burn the world and erase the threat. But others, the older and wiser, urged caution. If scouts were being hunted, then a fleet might not fare better. They did not realize that far below on Earth, humanity was already playing a game they understood better than anyone else. The Shadow War. For decades, humans had noticed anomalies in their skies. Flickers of objects where no satellites should be. Strange radio static that did not belong. Radar ghosts too precise to be accidents. The public laughed them off as conspiracies, but governments did not. Behind locked doors and under black budgets, humanity tracked the Watchers. The first scout ship was not destroyed in battle. It was dissected piece by piece after being captured by hidden satellites that targeted its emissions. The humans were cautious. They did not broadcast their triumph. They erased the ship without a trace. The second scout was shadowed the moment it entered Sol space. Humanity had mastered detection of cloaked vessels, not by looking for what was there, but for what was missing. Stars blinked where they shouldn't. Gravity rippled where it shouldn't. And when the moment came, silent hunters, experimental, orbital weapons, snuffed it out. Again, no trace. The third was different. The elite Dominion team never even reached Earth's surface. They were intercepted by ships no one in the galaxy believed humans could possess, black warships built. In secrecy, silent as the void. To the aliens, they were ghosts. To humanity, they were guardians. The operatives disappeared into Earth's prisons, never to speak again. The Dominion thought itself master of the Shadow War. They did not realize humanity had been living it since its first spark of civilization. Espionage, infiltration, deception. These were not alien to humans. They were second nature. From spies in ancient courts to modern cyber wars, humanity had always thrived in the darkness between wars. The Dominion had made one fatal mistake. They underestimated how a prey species survives. When the Dominion finally realized their failure, they attempted one last move, an open display of power. A fleet of warships appeared at the edge of Sol, meant not to conquer, but to intimidate. They broadcast their message across every channel. Humans, you are observed. Submit your world for inspection or face annihilation. For hours, the fleet waited. No answer came. Then, just as silence began to stretch into unease, their systems flickered. One by one, Dominion ships went dark. Engines stalled, weapons powered down, Hulls drifted, powerless, as if the void itself had turned against them. A human voice crackled across the comms. Calm, cold, certain. We don't submit. We don't negotiate. And we don't forgive spies. On the Dominion flagship, panic spread. They had underestimated. They had thought humans primitive. But what faced them now was a predator in the shadows, armed with weapons that bent rules. The Dominion thought immutable. One by one, Dominion ships disappeared, erased not with explosions, but with surgical precision. The fleet that had come to intimidate Earth became nothing more than another whisper in the void. And humanity. They did not announce their victory. They did not broadcast their strength. They remained silent, hidden, letting the galaxy guess, because the truth was clear. The humans had mastered the Shadow War. The Dominion thought they were the Watchers, but in the darkness between stars, humanity was already waiting. The Galactic High Council gathered in silence. Across the chamber, towering holograms of ancient races shimmered above their thrones. They were the keepers of order, the cartographers of the stars, the oldest powers in the galaxy. No corner of space was unknown to them, or so they believed. But now a mystery gnawed at their pride. A star system on the fringes of their charts had become strange. Sul, an unremarkable yellow star surrounded by dull worlds of rock and gas. But one planet, third, from the sun, was different. Earth. For millennia, Earth had been ignored. Its people were young, noisy, violent, endlessly fighting among themselves, hardly worth attention. Yet in recent centuries, something changed. Their signals, radio waves, television, encrypted chatter escaped into the void. At first, it was amusing. The council laughed at human music and crude dramas. But then, the patterns shifted. Encryption, sophistication, algorithms beyond what a primitive species should wield. It was enough to spark unease, and unease in the council meant action. They sent scouts. The first ship entered Sol boldly, slipping past the orbit of Neptune, recording everything it saw. For weeks, it transmitted streams of data, oceans teeming with life, cities glowing with artificial light, skybound machines piercing their atmosphere. It was fascinating, if crude. But then, just as the scout approached Earth's orbit, its signal ended. No explosion, no debris, nothing. The council assumed failure. Scouts malfunctioned often in distant systems. They sent another. The second ship arrived with better instruments. It lingered near Mars, watching carefully, staying distant from the humans below. It transmitted its findings for months. Then silence again. No trace, no beacon. Just gone. The council was unsettled now. 2 disappearances in the same system, without explanation. A third scout was dispatched. It, too, fell silent before completing its mission. 3 ships, 3 crews, erased from existence. The council panicked. Rumors spread among their lesser allies. The humans have weapons. The humans are protected. The Sol system itself is cursed. Desperate, the council convened scientists, oracles, and strategists. Theories multiplied. Some argued Earth hid vast planetary defenses, cloaked in ways unknown. Others whispered of ancient guardians, relics of civilizations long extinct that had chosen to protect the human race. A few dared suggest darker possibilities. Temporal rifts, pocket dimensions, or the return of the architects, the mythical builders who had vanished eons ago. But none could answer the simplest question. Why only Earth? The scouts had been erased, not in deep space, but only once they drew near the blue planet. It was a vanishing point, a region of silence where ships entered but did not return. The council debated sending warships. Crush them before they rise, growled the warlords. But wiser voices urged caution. If small scouts disappeared so easily, what guarantee was there that larger fleets wouldn't vanish too? And so the galaxy hesitated. Meanwhile, on Earth, the truth was far more terrifying than the Council imagined. Humanity had not erased the scouts by accident. They had claimed them. Decades earlier, human scientists had detected faint anomalies, shadows moving against the stars, radio interference from nowhere, energy readings that defied explanation. Governments, secretive and paranoid, had pieced it together. Someone was watching. The response was not panic. It was preparation. Satellites were repositioned. Telescopes were armed with detection grids far beyond civilian knowledge. Military black projects buried in secrecy began work on weapons designed not to fight human wars, but to strike at something greater. And then, deep beneath Earth's crust, in caverns untouched for millions of years, something awoke. The first, Scout had stumbled too close to ancient installations buried in Earth's mantle. Long before humans walked upright, machines had been left slumbering there, vast, unknowable structures pulsing with dormant power. They were not of human making. They belonged to the architects. The second Scout triggered automated defenses. Silent beams cut it apart before its crew even realized they had been targeted. The third was dismantled more carefully. By then, humans had learned how to interface with the ancient network. What the architects had left behind was now under human control. The scouts had not merely vanished, they had been harvested, their knowledge absorbed into Earth's secret vaults. Humanity had inherited the weapons of gods, but they kept it hidden. They did not broadcast their new power to the stars. They did not boast of their defenses. They let the galaxy believe it was a mystery, a curse, a vanishing point. The silence was their weapon. On the Council's worlds, fear grew. No species had ever erased 3 scouts without trace. No system had ever devoured ships so cleanly. The galaxy's predators, empires that thrived on conquest, began to look at Earth with unease. Not because of what humans had done, but because of what they might be capable of. And so, the galaxy chose hesitation. They turned their eyes elsewhere, fearful of testing the Sol system further. They whispered among themselves, "Best to leave, Earth alone." But humanity was not idle. In hidden laboratories, scientists reverse-engineered fragments of alien technology. In deep vaults, they studied the ancient machines of the architects. Step by step, their science leapt centuries ahead. Quietly, they built ships no one knew existed, black, angular vessels that could glide unseen through the void. The galaxy thought Earth a mystery. In truth, Earth was becoming something else entirely, a fortress wrapped in silence, armed with knowledge stolen from those who tried to watch. The vanishing point was no accident. It was a warning. To the Council, it remained a puzzle unsolved. To humanity, it was a strategy perfected. Predators survived not by announcing themselves, but by waiting in the shadows. Earth understood this instinctively. They had lived it since their first wars, their first spies, their first betrayals. Now, they lived it among the stars. And so, when the galaxy asked, "What happened to the scouts?" no answer came. No wreckage, no transmission, no trace, only silence. Because silence was the deadliest message of all.